12th board exams used to be the be-all and end-all of the educational battleground, because your 12th board marks determine which university you get into, do you get the course of your choice, and what your future really looks like. It is truly extremely competitive. But after important changes that have been made to the examination and the selection process, the 12th board exam may soon become completely redundant. I'm talking about the CUET, the Common University Entrance Test, which has been put into place for 45 deemed universities, and the first round of it actually begins from April 2nd. Now, the idea behind this, simply put, is that there are different kinds of state boards with different parameters or kinds of marking, and then you add your central boards like ICSE, CBSE, etc. Now, does a student who does their 12th exam from X board match up to a student from another board? Not really. The broad belief so far has been that perhaps marking in some state boards is a little easier, so those students end up with higher marks, versus others which is tougher, where they end up with lower marks. Now, why does that matter? Because when you want to, after your 12th board, apply to large universities, prestigious universities, they have some very high cutoffs. We've heard of those ridiculous 98%, 99% cutoffs in universities which are coveted. That's because they want to ensure that only the cream gets in. That's not quite fair, is it? To those who are born in a certain state, hence go through a certain process of education, hence have a certain kind of board exam result. So with this in mind, a new system has been put into place. Now, on Spotlight this week, we're going to look at what is the CUET, why it came about, and is it really an answer to all the problems that I have just described? Because there is a bit of debate about that as well. But first, let's begin with the basics of what CUET really is. My colleague Khushbu has this report.
This is Delhi University's Sri Ram College of Commerce, a dream college for thousands of students. But the race to secure a place here begins at 100% for courses like BA Economics and BCom. The turf is equally tough for many other colleges under DU. The basis for admission to these prestigious institutions has always been marks secured in 12th grade. But different marking standards from state boards across India has created an advantage for some students and disadvantage for others. Some universities, meanwhile, have their own entrance exams for admission to graduate courses. In all of this confusion, the student is left grappling with several tests and uncertainty on admissions. Enter CUET, the Common University's Entrance Test. CUET aims to provide uniformity for admissions in 45 central universities. It will be a computer-based test with multiple choice questions. The online application form will be available from the 2nd of April to 30th of April 2022. What makes CUET unique is that students can choose from 13 Indian languages like English, Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, Marathi and Gujarati, among others. The NTA also gives an option of 20 others, including French, German, Konkani and Kashmiri for one section. The NTA has released the exam pattern, which has a total of 4 sections. Section 1A and 1B will test the language capabilities through literary aptitude, vocabulary and comprehension. Section 2 will have domain-specific questions. Students will get an option to choose from 27 domain subjects. A maximum of 6 domains can be chosen and 45 minutes will be given for answering each domain. The last section will be a general test to assess applicants on logical and analytical reasoning, general knowledge, mental ability and application of basic mathematical concepts taught till the grade 8. The UGC has also requested other universities to join CUET and make the test the sole admission criterion for institutions of higher education.
There are still many challenges for students of the 12th class before CUET. First, they had to go through online classes and then offline tests. Now they have very short time to prepare for the CUET, which is going to be conducted for the first time in India. So definitely they are going to be waiting eagerly for mock tests so that they understand what kind of pattern they need to prepare for. Apart from this, many people are also worried about that this may give rise to the coaching culture, which may lead to a loss for the marginalized students. Khushbu Tiwari for ET Now.
To understand in greater detail how this new CUET will actually work, will it truly benefit students, and does it replace the problems of the quality of basic education that India frankly still does face? To speak on this, I'm joined now by M. Jagadesh Kumar, the chairman of the UGC. I'm also speaking today with Professor Anurag Mehra of IIT Bombay. Welcome to both of you, and thank you so much for joining us on Spotlight this week on ET Now. Mr. Kumar, let me begin with, just asking you the basic question of what was the problem that CUET now hopes to fix, and does it really get rid of the basic problem of an uneven level of education that you have across state boards? That was the cause of concern, wasn't it?
See, if you look at how the admissions are done in the undergraduate programs, in the non-engineering, non-medical programs, either they are based on these 12th standard marks, which are skyrocketing, or they are based on entrance examinations conducted by several universities. Now, the problem with this is that it is putting a lot of stress in the minds of the students to get 98, 99 cutoffs. And the other issue is that the boards which are there across the country, they are too diverse. In some boards, it's very easy to get above 90. In some boards, however hard you try, you may not be able to get 80%. So that, that it's not a level playing ground. What is my fault if I'm born in a particular state and if I study in a particular board and I get only 80%, I will never be able to join in a university of my choice just because of my board marks. So that's one major problem. And the other problem is that since students had to write multiple entrance examinations, they may be scheduled on the same day, or they had to travel to different cities, maybe Bangalore, maybe Guwahati, maybe some other place. So this is putting undue stress on the students and also the parents. That is why, as part of the implementation of the national education policy, we have decided to introduce the common university entrance test. And to begin with, it is compulsory for all the central universities, and many deemed to be universities are also adopting. And I'm glad to inform you that many state universities and private universities are also planning to adopt CUET.
That's great, sir. But my question remains that if the basic concern, Mr. Kumar, was the lack of a level playing field, which essentially means some state boards are marking easier than others, or the quality of education in some states is not as superior as others. So how do we fix that basic problem?
Well, it is the responsibilities of the state boards which are conducting the school education. Once you have a common ground, a common standard, that is what the students had to meet by writing CUET, I'm sure many state boards will work around to fix the problem and improve the standards in their own state boards.
Professor Mehra, your take on, in theory, the CUET sounds like a great idea, because the fact is, if you look at state boards or an ICSE 12th standard board or a CBSE 12th standard board, they all have different parameters, and then this is the basis for admissions. We're seeing, as a result of this, some ridiculous cutoff rates in prestigious universities, as high as maybe 99, 100% for certain, courses, and it has become a source of great stress. Do you agree with the claim being made that CUET now solves some of those problems in a large way?
Well, I mean, in a literal sense, it does, but I'm not sure if it does so in any meaningful way. The problem is that, as you rightly pointed out, the problem is with the boards. Now, it's easy to say, that the board should have done that, set up their own respective systems properly and so on. there are many questions that can be asked. Why do some boards have 95%, 99%, 100%? Whose responsibility is that? So, for instance, I have often written, at least for the last 10 years, I've been saying this, that you need to stop this kind of moderation completely. That's number one. Number two, you need to have historical statistical data from different boards. That is the way to establish scientific equivalence between 75% of one board and 90% of the other board. This is done worldwide in large countries which have multiple board systems. There's nothing unique about it. They are very standard in statistical terms. It's just that we don't do it, and we don't even have any data which is made public. The third thing is, what are the boards doing? There is a COPSI, a council of all the state boards and central boards and so on. You look at their website. I mean, it's completely a ramshackle piece of not serious at all. Why have these boards? Let me put it in more standard terms. We have used this not level playing field. Board marks are not suitable for admissions for the last 70 years. In fact, JEE also started like that, but then it started with a much smaller number. Now we are going to put, not 10 lakhs, and I think that was an underestimate by Dr. Jagadesh. JEE students themselves are of the order of about 12 lakhs. NEET students are of the order of about 16 lakhs. The number of people who would like to appear for this is going to be much larger. Now we are going to subject them again to this whole notion of an entrance exam. So I don't quite figure out why you can't have coordinated syllabus, something universal,
get Mr. Kumar to
something
respond
diverse.
to that. Right.
Then after that, you do exams.
One minute, Professor Mehra. 1 minute. You've made a couple of important points, and I think we should get a response on it, because these are key questions. Mr. Kumar, would you like to come in on these points of finding a way of calibrating and creating a level playing field within state boards instead of imposing another examination on students?
See, as engineers, we know that there is no single solution. There could be multiple solutions. I agree with Professor Anurag that we could do the other way also. But all that I am saying is that we need to provide a kind of level playing ground. And as the number of students who are competing for the limited number of seats increases, we need to introduce some kind of objectivity in the selection process. Now, if you want to use not use computer-based test, you want to use only subjective-based answer scripts. Now, the task of correcting so many answer scripts is one challenge. And even if you have so many evaluators, how do you eliminate the subjectivity in the evaluation process of the entrance test? So that's another problem. And the third problem is, if you use the state board marks, one is, of course, you can normalize using some statistical methods. That is one approach. But you still have the problem of the teachers evaluating the subjective answers. And as a human being, as a teacher myself at IIT Delhi, I know if I'm correcting 100 answer scripts, the fatigue sets in, and I will not be giving the same marks. Maybe for one answer, I may give slightly more, and for the same answer, I may give slightly less. And this is intrinsic to human beings. And if you are using those kind of differential marking for selecting students, you are playing with the lives of the students. Even a 1 mark difference in the subjective evaluation can change somebody's future. And that's the reason why it is important that the test is more objective in nature. I'm not saying multiple choice questions as objective. It should be objective. Any subjectivity bias should be eliminated in the test. And also, you please think about the computer-based test. What does it involve? It involves, first of all, decision making. You need to choose one of the correct answers. And how do you make the decision making unless you have a logical thinking process? And the logical thinking process cannot come unless you have a knowledge base. You see, the knowledge base, logical thinking, critical thinking, and the ability to make decisions, this is what is required if you want to write the computer-based test. Therefore, since the basic building block of this entire process is knowledge, if you neglect learning, if you neglect to be a good learner, I don't think you will do well in the computer-based test. If you neglect your school education and simply do well in CUET and join in a college, And if you have stopped to be a learner during your school education, you cannot be a good learner in your college. It has to be a continuous process. Therefore, I don't think that students will stop being learners in the school education and suddenly do well in CUET and try to become good learners in the college.